Hello and welcome to a video over here at Team Blush. Recently in our 240SX project, we've been having some soft pedal feel in our clutch, and upon further investigation, when looking into the clutch master cylinder, we did notice some pretty nasty looking brake fluid, and it just looks like this clutch master cylinder is pretty tired overall. It has been hanging in for about 4 years, and it is a budget clutch master cylinder. Thankfully, due to our prior work engagements, we've had some more quality parts sitting around waiting to get installed. One of those being this right here. This is a Wilwood clutch master cylinder, and with the help of this ISR adapter bracket, we are going to use it in our S13. Now, even though this is a used part that we're going to be putting in the vehicle, we think it is still going to be an upgrade because this is a larger bore clutch master cylinder. This is a common upgrade when people will swap LS engines into their S chassis because the original master cylinders did not have enough pressure to be able to push on LS engine pressure plates, whereas these Wilwood swaps can. With that in mind, we think that is going to give us a ton better clutch feel, as well as let our 4-year-old clutch master cylinder finally retire. This should be a relatively straightforward removal and install of our new part, although you know how it goes. Whenever you get underneath the dash, things do get a little bit cramped and obnoxious. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Hopefully this fixes our clutch feel on the S13. All right, so our first step here is going to be to get this seat out of our way. You don't necessarily have to do this step yourself if all you're getting to is the clutch pedal, but this footage is going to get used for another video here upcoming where we need to get to the brake pedal. It's definitely harder to get to that than the clutch pedal, so we're going to go ahead and just get this out of the way. And also, we have to film for you, so it's going to be much easier to get that footage with the seat out of the car. And if you are taking out your seat, don't forget there is a plug underneath the driver's side seat. We've definitely pulled that thing out pretty hard when we didn't realize it was there one time. So just reach your hand under and get that unplugged before you pull the seat out of the car. There we go. Yeah, and here's that plug that we were mentioning. It's just really quick, easy. Undo that when you pull the seat out. There we go. Found that in the car too. Already paid for this YouTube video. All right, and give us just a second to vacuum up this crud that was underneath the seat, and then we'll go ahead and we'll continue getting underneath the dashboard. Door sill trim here needs to come off. Next, we can go ahead and remove our dead pedal here that is keeping us from removing this piece of trim, and this piece of trim is keeping us from removing this piece of trim underneath the dash. It's a slippery slope, so let's go ahead and get it all out. There are two screws up behind the hood latch here, so we'll go ahead and take those out. That'll let us get this cable mechanism out of the way once we go ahead and drop this panel. All right, and like we said, you don't necessarily have to take off all those trim bits, and you definitely don't need to take the seat out to get under here. It's just definitely easier for us to film. So right here, we are on our clutch pedal, and all we need to do is take this pin out of the clevis here. And once we get that pin out, we can push this little pin out through the other side, and that will allow us to get our clutch master cylinder out of the firewall once we unbolt it. Now, there are some instances where if this hasn't been touched from factory, you may have like a little plastic cap or something on the end of this pin. Not necessarily sure how to properly address this, but every single time we've come across that, we've just gone ahead and gotten some pliers and pulled it off or broken off that little plastic cap. Not sure what it's there for, but once you've gotten that off, you can go ahead and then push the pin through. With that cap on, you cannot get that pin pushed through the clevis.
Gonna try and mitigate some mess here by getting our mother's turkey baster. Not really, it is a turkey baster, but I'm gonna go ahead and get some of this brake fluid out of this reservoir before we undo any of these fittings. You want to try and keep this brake fluid away from your paint and your frame rails. With that line off, we can go ahead and unbolt our master cylinder from the firewall here. Now with your old clutch master out of the car, you're just gonna want to go ahead and try and eyeball the best that you can the clevis location in reference to your new master cylinder. So as you can see, just kind of give or take. It's kind of hard to see on the camera, but we just want to make sure that our holes are going to align on our clutch pedal when we put it back in the car about where it was whenever we took out our old master. And just as an aside, we wanted to see the bore difference from our old master cylinder to our new one. As you can see, this 5/8 here, we assume that's referencing the bore size of this cylinder, and the Wilwood has this 0.75 millimeters. So we're definitely not good at math, but we'll go ahead and put on the screen how much of an increase of bore size that is. And theoretically, that should lead to better performance and hopefully a better clutch feel. So let's go ahead and get this new clutch master in the car. All right, back under the dash here, now that we got our new clutch master installed, we can go ahead and get our pin back in the clevis.
Now, if you have an extra pair of hands, or in this case, legs in the garage with you while you're doing this, you don't necessarily have to do this step, but because we do not have anyone in the garage to help us with this, we are going to have to bleed our clutch system in 2 steps. Our first step here is going to be to bleed the actual master cylinder itself. And in order to do that, we're just going to use some extra line that we have laying around, and we're going to loop this into the reservoir, hand pump it from the pedal inside of the cabin, and we're just going to pump it until we no longer see bubbles coming through on the video on the camera. All right, and now with that master cylinder bled, we can go ahead and install our normal clutch line. All right, we've jacked up the car and we are getting ready to bleed our system here at the slave cylinder. And luckily, we don't have to have anyone up in the cabin of the vehicle pushing on the clutch pedal because we have one of these now. This is a hand-operated vacuum pump, and this thing has been saving us tons of time recently. We no longer have to wait hours on end for someone to be available to do things like push a clutch pedal when we're trying to bleed a system. Instead, we just use one of these. If you don't have one of these, this is a huge recommendation to get one. It is our most recent tool acquisition, and it has been absolutely amazing so far. All right, so we've gone ahead, we've gotten this clutch system bled more than a few times. We're gonna go up top into the cabin of the vehicle to push the clutch pedal some, and we're gonna use this footage to see how much actuation is in this slave cylinder when we do so. Hopefully everything is good, and that will be a wrap on this master cylinder install. All right, well, I think that's gonna wrap it up on this Wilwood master cylinder upgrade slash install. We went ahead and put the interior back together in the car, and we also took the car out for a drive just to feel if that pedal was any better. And yes, it was. It feels a ton better. There is so much more engagement on that slave cylinder. You can just feel it when you press the pedal. It's a ton better. That being said, however, the pedal throw has shortened quite a bit, and we believe that is due to this clevis right here. Now, when we got this out of the parts pile at our work, we did notice this came with it, and we weren't sure why until now. This is a cut and extended clevis pin. And you'll notice if you purchase this Wilwood upgrade kit online, it usually comes with an extended clevis pin. We were hoping we weren't gonna have to use it for our install, but it looks like we are going to. We're not gonna be using this clevis pin in our car. Needless to say, the quality is a bit lackluster. We're gonna go online and see if we can track one down separately from one of those upgrade kits, and then we'll throw it in the car on another occasion. We hope this video was informative if you're going ahead and installing a master cylinder or upgrading to a Wilwood like you've seen in this video. It has been nice to get back in the garage and work on the S13 again and actually get another YouTube video out on it. If you'd like to follow along with this build a bit more casually, consider going over to our Instagram at team.blush, where we update on things every once in a while in a little less formal fashion than we do on the YouTube channel here. So depending on when you are watching this video, we hope you're having a good day or night. We hope to see you in a future video on the channel. And as always, take it easy.